photography and the signing of autographs is strictly prohibited during competition. In addition, we kindly ask that you silence your cell phone without any distractions to our athletes.
How about all 10? What an event.
Now how about a great send-off for round one of the PWBA Fountain Valley Open. Good luck, ladies.
Good afternoon, fans. Good afternoon, fans, and I should say good morning in some places, good afternoon in other places. Appreciate you being here with us. This is Emil Williams Jr., live from Fountain Bowl in Fountain Valley, California. the third stop on the PWBA Tour. This is the 2017 Fountain Valley Open. First time the tour has been directly at this venue, Fountain Valley, since 1992. May have gotten the lowdown on that earlier in the week. Matt Cannizzaro. A nice event advance. Talking about one of the local stars, Missy Parkin, of course, competing, and the red-hot Rocio Restrepo, who has made back-to-back TV shows. She is 2 for 2, essentially, so far in the 2017 season. Throughout the day and throughout the weekend, of course, we will continue to bring you the live coverage. As always, many of you kind of know how things work. I'll pop a live now post up here in just a second. I apologize in advance for any minor intermittent issues you may see with your stream. A lot of folks in here have been working hard. I've been here for a very long time today, trying to ensure that things go well. So I will apologize in advance if you see something minor. Hopefully we will be all good for the rest of the day. Right now we are behind lanes 41 and 42 along with 43 and 44. 41 and 42 features Brittany Himmelreich, Dina Buxton, and your back-to-back player of the year, Liz Johnson. On 43 and 44, Alexia Hicks, Sandra Luthold, and Brandy Calderon. This is game one if you're just joining us. We'll get into, of course, some of the storylines as we get an inch closer to the first major of the season. And that is the USBC Queens. Bear with me momentarily. I'm going to go wide for just a second. I want to fix something real quick. All right, we'll see what that looks like. That's a little bit better for our viewers. All right, so hang tight, folks. Again, enjoy bowling. I will be back in just a second. The next voice you may hear would be the smooth sounds of Matt Cannizzaro. Momentarily, he will join us throughout. Good to have Matt back out on the PWBA Tour, of course. He will be with us for a few events today, this weekend at the Players Championship, and I forgot where else he'll be. So he'll be at the Players Championship, no doubt about that. And more than likely the Tour Championship as well. So while we continue to do a couple jobs at one time, I'll take a small break, and I'll be back in a moment, folks. This is the 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open on Extra Frame. All right, folks. In 41 and 42, 43 and 44, our featured pairs. This week, the oil pattern was released. The players know about it. And it was released at the normal time, as it generally is when the pattern is released, of course. This week, players are on a 38-foot pattern with the curve kegel conditioner. Of course, you can check the oil pattern live on PWBA.com. It is there. It will be there. Of course, underneath the schedule, all of the details. You can also, of course, get right to it at pwba.com/live, or, of course, there, and then also the direct website, pwba.com. You'll see the click here for coverage and results of the Fountain Valley Open. If anyone sees anything that doesn't look proper, please let me know, as you always do. Keeping us honest in the booth as well. Liz Johnson trying to make it 2 for 2 in her own right. Last week, captured the top overall seed for the PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. Just 8 pins ahead of Rocio Restrepo, who I mentioned earlier, has made the show the first couple of times already. Diana Zavialova, DZ3, broke through, as we talked about last week, after so many close calls and some frustrating events. Able to make TV, and I'm talking about since the return of the addition of television to the PWBA Tour last season. She is a PWBA champion. I think that fact tends to go unnoticed when we talk about TV. Of course, in 2015, qualifying match play and the final round were all right here on Extra Frame. Now, of course, since last season with the addition of the national television audience, which is exactly what this PWBA Tour should have. DZ3 didn't make TV. She has some chances, but she will be there. And we certainly look forward to seeing her. Should be an exciting show along with Danielle McEwen. So be sure to set your DVRs. June 13th is the air date for the Storm Sacramento Open. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern. We will tape the show, of course, next week, actually, on May 23rd during the USBC Queens. I apologize for the delay on our social perspective, but again, just getting some things all set. Some things sometimes they take a little longer than you planned, but the most important thing is that we get you some live streaming. All right, folks, that Live Now post is available on Facebook. For those of you who may be watching the PWBA Tour for the first time on Extra Frame, again, my name is Emil Williams Jr. I'll be joined by Matt Cannizzaro throughout the day. Rita Morin also is in the building. Rita, part of our PWBA creative team. We had a photo shoot on Thursday. It's some nice, great headshots and other pictures that we can use, of course, on tour. Rita was here to help assist, or excuse me, to assist, not help assist, because that would just be crazy. Of course, our tournament staff, Tennille Milligan, tournament director and director of operations. Kathy Waka, our assistant tournament director. And Kathy Kavicki, our tour coordinator, along with our merchandise manager here. One familiar name missing, of course, this week. That is Jason Thomas. JT is out in Kansas City, Kansas, as part of the Go Bowling 400 festivities. He and a colleague back at headquarters, Brent Houghton, doing some work this weekend over in Kansas City, Kansas, in the Midwest. So good luck to those gentlemen. I mentioned the Live Now post is up as we enter the 10th frame on 41 and 42. For those of you who know, I generally ask, let me know where you're watching from. Drop me a comment on the post. I'll do the same, of course, via Instagram and Twitter. Nice shot there by Liz Johnson. We mentioned 38 feet. We watched practice yesterday and along with this morning, and really no board seemed to be unplayable, if you will. Players seem to have various angles to the pocket this week. A little different, of course, than what they have seen the first 2 weeks, including the 40-foot one-to-one during week 1 in Sonoma County. And then, of course, the mysterious pattern that players did not know about last week. So I'd imagine the scores be a little bit higher this week. A couple more strikes being thrown, and we very well could see our first 300 of the season this week as well. Would not surprise me. Liz Johnson again off to a good start after that opening frame split that she made. 239 now sits on the doorstep potentially for Liz Johnson. Looking for one more in the 10th, and that was just 10 back. Liz peering shots already. This is game number 1, and she will be in the 230s. See Aaron McCarthy off camera, about 2 pair away. She's got 250 going right now. She threw the first shot in the 10th. One more in the 10th, she'll be in the 260s. So we'll be on the lookout for fireworks this week. We appreciate you tuning in. Big thanks to my main man, Terry Bigham, watching. I didn't ask Terry to assist me today, and I kind of felt bad because sometimes I generally have to. Maybe that means I'm growing up. All right, 237 for Liz Johnson to start. If you joined me earlier, I also mentioned that I would apologize in advance for any intermittency or latency type issues that you may see on the stream throughout the day. We've been working hard to finalize and get things together from an internet perspective with everyone here at the center. Of course, Gary Foreman and his staff, Rusty, our general manager, trying to make sure we're good to go. Talked about Aaron McCarthy. Let's see, 8 counts. The second shot in the 10th. So spare will give her 256. And the way the first game scores tend to look around us, that may not be the leader in the clubhouse potentially. Dina Buxton, of course, from Australia, rounds things out here. 195 for Dina Buxton on 43 and 44. Alicia Hicks, nice finish for Alicia, 178. Cassandra Lutho, rolling consecutive events. Randy Calderon, spare in the 10th thus far, and we'll look to finish things out. Pretty good shot. 175. All right, and Luthold, of course, Cassandra from Nebraska, went to the University of Nebraska, I beg your pardon. Originally from Black Hawk, South Dakota. Well, 3 on a pair today, folks, so the game should be relatively quick. Good shot there from Luthold, and she wraps the 10-pin. So give her the spare. She'll be in the 2 teens. Kelly Kulik to our left, and Kelly strikes out. Clean game for Kelly Kulik. She shoots 222. All right, game 1 officially in the books here in our featured pairs. So we'll make the changeover. It'll be game 2 coming up. And game 2 will feature Stephanie Sanders, Alicia Current, and Robin Rinslow. On 43 and 44, hometown favorite, local favorite, Missy Parkin, Megan Withy, and Sarah Minch on 43 and 44. Tomorrow, we'll move some things over to 45 and 46. That's what we'll capture cashers round action along with match play. And, of course, the group stepladder final. So the lanes have gone off for right after game 1, excuse me. Everyone is making change in the moves. That gives me a brief opportunity to move around briefly as well. So I'll take a small break, folks, and we'll be back momentarily. Again, don't forget to drop us a note in the Live Now section on Facebook, while we add that, of course, to Twitter and Instagram. Don't forget to follow those while you're there. So if you get to that point, make sure you hit either the like button or the follow button. We certainly would appreciate it. Back in a flash, folks. You're watching the 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open. It's Bowl TV on Extra Frame.
Please just hang tight. We're trying to get the second game names up. Just hang tight. I have you on a timer.
All right, folks. Again, just momentary delay here. Just try to get the game 2 scores on the scoreboards, of course. So that is your delay. Hopefully that will not take too much of your time. But while we have a moment, again, just to reset things, we just got done with game 1. High game here on 41 and 42 was Liz Johnson's 237. Over on 43 and 44, Sandra Luthold shot 217. We did see 256 from Erin McCarthy.
Lanes are coming back up. Please reverse the arrows. Reverse the arrows. And you can start your second game.
Saw Jackie Carbonetto in passing. Jackie bowling her first event of the season. She shot 240 plus, I believe, as well. So the score should be back here. Big thanks to Eric Moret. Appreciate you tuning in, Eric. Eric is now a regular on the PWBA tour. Of course, he's not bowling, but he is a regular viewer, so we appreciate Eric. Daniel, hello, Daniel from Saudi Arabia. How about that? Watched all the ladies' events on Extra Frame the last 2 years. Works as a government contractor. Well, we appreciate you, Daniel, watching from so far away. How about that? Daniel, what time is it where you are currently? Hello, Karen, watching from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Karen, a.k.a. Mrs. Brummett. Hello, Brandon, watching from York, Pennsylvania. Michael Savage from Austin, Texas. Hello, Peter from Fresno, California. Peter, of course, an avid viewer as well. Seen Peter the last couple of events, if I'm not mistaken, as well as Judy Stenhouse from Florida watching live, and John Addick from Oaklawn. So some of our regulars. Well, that's good. It's nice to have regulars. It's like Cheers, right? When you go to the everyone knows your name type of place. Well, this is the exact goal that I hope to have and obtain with our viewers and listeners as well here on Extra Frame. So as you can see, folks, looks like we've got some different scoreboards now. So I'll pause briefly just to make those a little larger as best as I can. All right, so just a brief wide shot here momentarily while we work some things out. Certainly hope everyone is enjoying their day thus far. We know you could be spending it in a million different ways, but you chose to spend it at least part of your day on Extra Frame, and said that certainly does not go unnoticed, no matter what they tell you. just about ready on 43 and 44. Looks like 41 and 42 obviously already bowling and entered the names, and they're off and running. This is Alicia Current. Talked a little bit about the pattern. I said that the sense we got from watching practice was that players, wherever you're comfortable playing, look to be a favorable area for you, and particularly, essentially meaning if you like to play a certain area, more than likely you'll have that ability. Now, how long you'll be able to play there is certainly to be determined. It's just like any other event or lane pattern or condition. If you're in an area where you can be comfortable, all right, you should see some scoreboards here momentarily. Oh, actually, you should see it already. Now that I say that, this is Stephanie Sanders. A nice run at the lead in standard all events at the Open Championships. Here you see Missy Parkin again. Missy from Laguna Hills. Laguna, of course, not too far from where we are. We got some other cool stories from a local perspective here in the Fountain Valley area. Our hotel is in Costa Mesa. Of course, weather pretty solid here. Although talking to some of the event staff here at the bowling center, said it's been a little chilly for Southern California. I was expecting, you know, maybe mid-80s, of course, but maybe get a little vitamin D when you have a chance, which is rare, of course, when you do what we do here. But I did have an opportunity to see some things on Wednesday when we got in. That's typically the day for us. If you'd like to essentially do something other and not use some bowling balls, go down the lane. Wednesday is typically that day from a staff perspective. Sometimes Thursday evenings can provide that opportunity as well. And of course, Friday, Saturday is competition, so that's where I spend my time with you. And then somewhere in between, I've got a fiance, and then obviously she comes first, so there's time there. So it's time management, folks, wherever you go. College, adulting, everything. Of course, this weekend is Mother's Day on Sunday, so happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers who may be watching, and certainly all the mothers here out on tour. We do have a few. Those who are not on tour currently, some have had newborns, like Stephanie Johnson, for example, Jessica Abel. Jess has bowled several events in the last 2 years as well, so. Again, off and running on 43. One of our viewers, I believe Troy Fisher, I was at the counter during practice this morning, right before this round started, and and this has happened actually throughout the week. It's been a little odd for me. But Troy just came right up to me and said, "Hey, you know, thanks for shouting us out. Watch you all the time, etc." Of course, I didn't know who he was. So when I'm in that situation, I generally say, "Hey, thank you." Of course, obviously, I would thank anyone, and then politely say, "Hey, what what's your name?" And he told me his name. I said, "Oh, hey, Troy, how's it going?" Came up to watch his coach, which he told us last week. He was watching Missy and rooting for her. That's her coach, or that's his coach, excuse me. And, of course, Missy 25 minutes away in Laguna Hills from where we are in Fountain Bowl. Someone else came up to me last week and introduced themselves, told me that they watch all the time. Someone else this week did the same thing. So, folks, again, I know I've gotten a lot of compliments, but this is a team effort. It's certainly just not me. You hear my voice often, but we do a lot of things together here. So, and as you can see, scoreboards went back to normal, so I'll readjust those. So as I was saying, nonetheless, still it's a team effort. So we all work together. We all work very hard to give you what we can. And my goal when I'm in this particular booth, bring the best broadcast that we can. Sometimes things happen that are beyond our control, but those are, you know, part of it. It's those things happen. All right. That should do the trick. Again, Stephanie Sanders, Alicia Current, and Robin Renslow. On 41 and 42, 43 and 44, Missy Parkin, Megan Withy, and Sarah Minch. Sarah recently bowled collegiately at Grandview University. Pretty solid young player. And, of course, that's an avid statement about a lot of players here on tour, but Sarah certainly is one. Off to a tough start here in game number 2. But she is certainly a player to watch, as is Robin Renslow, and you can see why there with shots like that. Robin just missed match play last week at the Storm Sacramento Open. She led round 1 qualifying, led after the first 6 games last week, so Certainly a player to watch as well. Again, we don't need to tell you that, though. Good shot there from Sanders. Didn't get a chance or didn't really see too many lefties. Now we have several, but during this morning and last night's practice, it just wasn't in the vicinity of any lefties. So I didn't get a good look at where the lefties might play and where they could play. I take that back. I did see one this morning, and 5 are out there in the 3, 4, 5 area, trying a few different things. So, tough to kind of know exactly where they were going to play, of course, in that situation and at that particular time. One, of course, very good lefty. In fact, one of the best bowlers, not only in the world, obviously, on this tour, but in the world. And the best lefty, and has been the best lefty for a few years, certainly Shannon Pluhowski. Not here this week. Shannon is running one of the longest running youth events at her center, Capri Lanes in Dayton, Ohio. So Shannon will not be in attendance. I believe this is the only event on the schedule for her that she would miss. 35 years a youth event has been running. That's fantastic when you think about it. And especially, within our sport, we know obviously who the future of the sport is. We have a youth event that has run so long. It's an impressive thing to think about, essentially. And Shannon able to continue to give back to a future for the sport like that in that manner. We certainly appreciate and commend her for that. But although Shannon is not here, Megan Kelly is here. And we may have even gotten the better of the deal. Sorry, Shannon, if you listen, but Autumn is here. Megan and Shannon's daughter, Autumn, is here, as well as Shannon's sister, Tiffany. So Shannon has made sure that although she was not here, that the Pulowski clan is still represented well. Getting closer to the 10th frame here. Don't forget it, folks, as you well know at this point, where to look for all of your PWBA needs. Standings, PWBA.com. You will see the first slider. Click here for coverage of the Fountain Valley Open. Go ahead and follow those instructions, and you will be led to all the results that you need. Of course, ongoing. You can get to that page directly if you'd like, just pwba.com/live. You can also check the schedule and click on the respective event. Of course, you can also do that while you're there. Click on the schedule and to see what's going on the rest of 2016. Or 17, I beg your pardon. Wow. Whole year gone.
had a thought that I just forgot. Don't you hate that? I said, man, that would have been a great opportunity to talk about something specific that I had in mind, and now I don't remember exactly what it was. Hopefully it'll come back to me at some point.
Interesting game for Brianna Cote. So she went at a couple, first 3 frames, couple opens. She actually threw a gutter, it looks like, but has rebounded nicely for the next 6 in a row. And can still shoot 232. That's talking about getting it done, persevering. All right, Alicia Currents. E is what many call her, of course, as well. And sometimes when they do call her that, people call me E as well. So I always do the double take. Alicia's been battling a knee injury. Left knee, we talked about it during week 1. And she is going to kind of consistently, putting heat and ice, etc. on it. Unfortunately, it's an injury essentially that doesn't seem where you can't re-injure, you can't injure it further, and it just kind of is what it is at a particular point. And so she's got to manage it the best way that she can, of course. And so she's done a pretty solid job so far. Of course, she did say that it gets better the longer she bowls. And so from a longer format perspective, I think that sounds like something that would be great for her from if you think about it in a major standpoint, major events. And of course, if you can get to the cashier's round and move on to match play, that is continuous bowling throughout the day. So we'll look for Alicia to continue to have some good success here. She said she's had to change some things to accommodate. That's a pretty good shot there. Nice shot from E. Current. Speaking of Brianna Cote, this morning she was presented with her champion's banner after winning the 2016 PWBA Lexington Open. Of course, last season, the first PWBA championship for Brianna, and now, of course, she will go down in history as a champion, and no one can take that away from her. And she was on hand, of course, to be presented that. Of course, this is a new event on the schedule here in 2017, so, and of course, Lexington not on the schedule this year, so from a proximity perspective, this is obviously not the hometown for Cote. She is from Arizona. But from a West Coast perspective, might have a few fans in attendance as well. So she was presented here. On the 10th frame here. 41 and 42. Sarah trying to keep things in line here. Struggling a little bit, you can just tell. Now his Current push a little bit and high flush. Looks like from this pattern here, again, multiple angles.
I mentioned that, and I saw a lot of players kind of playing to the right, especially a lot of right-handers. Outside or to the right of 10, not necessarily outside of 5. No one has been that far right, at least what I saw yesterday. But I haven't seen anyone really try that here per se. And as I say that, right on cue, Virginia Young is playing out there. She is over on lane 45. She got that one a little right, and you can see how much room she has there. There's a few boards to work with. And when you have that, of course, that's ideal for any bowler, but especially bowlers at this level. Look at Missy Parkin here. All right, no love on the breakdown of the split there. Thought the 10 might have fallen, the 4 was close. And this is game 2 if you are just joining us. Round number 1 of qualifying here this morning. 175 for Stephanie Sanders, 211. Nice game for Alicia Current. The leader in the clubhouse. Don't know yet. I'll double check. Daniel said it is 10:46 p.m. down in Saudi Arabia. Well, I guess it's not, not a bad thing. 10:46 is decent. As maybe in comparison to 3 o'clock in the morning, where you have to get up early to watch. But of course, that only would mean the later we go tonight, the earlier, of course, it would be. And so Daniel might experience that at some point. But of course, Daniel, when we get done with tonight, we'll have a link to our round 1 scores and certainly a picture of the leader on our social media channels. Tomorrow we'll have all of the details for you in regards to obviously who will make TV from this standard event and any other cool nuggets and stuff that we can that we may see or provide for you as well. I'm predicting a 300 this week, which would be the first one of the season. So we'll see if I'm right about that. I could be completely wrong on it as well. It's all 50-50.
All right, 43 and 44 finishing up here. I know for Sarah, she'd like to throw some good shots first and foremost, and then kind of get off this pair and regroup. John Lenore is watching from Anaheim, California. John, you might as well just come on out, John. Ah, okay. There it is. He knew my next question. Jury duty this morning. Yep, you got to do that, John. Maybe you can tell them. Well, it's a story for a different platform. But if they see you watch an extra frame, perhaps they will allow you to leave early. Someone will say, "What are you doing?" And then John would say, "Hey, I'm watching my coach. She's a professional bowler." And that would spark up a cool conversation. And then perhaps we've got someone else hooked on not only on the PWA, but the sport of bowling in general. And that's what we want. Speaking of Missy Parkin, first shot in the 10th, a good one. Looked like she made a ball change. Perhaps something with a little extra surface looks like, just different period. And two really, really good shots. So we'll keep an eye on that for Missy Parkin. A good count, of course. She's in the 2-0s. Sarah trying to finish it out strong here. Oh, wow. Well, if it can't get any worse right there, that might be an out of range. It's not. Right there, folks, is the 2-7-8 with the 7. I mean, literally just about hanging off the deck. Never seen that much space in between the 2-7-8 and really in between the 7 and 8. If she spares this, I mean, it would be remarkable. All right, so Sarah will get off this pair. And I'm sure she will not want to see 43 and 44 for a good while. Good thing is it's early in the block, and we've got another block of 6 games to go. I gave you a story last week. Liz Culkin shot 129 in game 2, and she ended up not only making the cashers round, but she gave match play a good run as well. Fell a little bit short. Nice finish for Missy Parkin. Good ball change on the end of that game. So whatever she has in her hand at the moment seems to be a potential winner as we move forward to game 3. Again, big thanks to John. John, if you're still listening, I'll be happy to, if you are here tomorrow, feel free to stop by before we get started. Always like to meet our viewers, and I've met a couple, so thank you. Hello to Phil Spender. He is watching from Sydney, Australia, wishing all the Aussie girls, Melissa Ann Fisher, Dina Buxton, and Alicia Hicks, well also. So big thanks to Phil. Our international element of the tour really starting to expand. Any women's event, really, something like the Queens or the U.S. Women's Open, has always been a very popular event for not only, of course, players stateside, but our international players as well. And then with the addition of the PWBA Tour in 2015, that has now given, of course, another avenue and opportunity for competition, and a strong competition, of course, as well. So we've had, of course, Dina Buxton and Caitlin Comaine have been here. They started last week on tour. This week it's Alicia Hicks, Melissa Ann Fisher. And I believe we will see some additional players from Australia at the Queens next week. Same thing with Team Singapore. They have a contingent of 5. They began on tour last week as well in Sacramento. Here again this week, and they will be at the Queens, and then they will be departing back to Singapore after the Queens. Team Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken, will be here for a couple of events starting with the Queens.
I believe they will bowl a couple, if not just the queens. I'll have to confirm. But they too will be in attendance as well. We generally get, especially the queens, a few bowlers from Japan, China. Shellen Zulkifli, if I'm not mistaken, will be part of Team Malaysia coming over as well. So we look forward to them coming over as well. All right, folks, game 3 is upcoming. See some of the players again making the round. Some have started. The delay essentially at this point is just re-adding names essentially each time as we have reached game 3. We'll just need to re-add the names, and it looks like what I don't want to do is readjust the scoreboards, and then they will go back to the normal size, at least for the scoring, and then have them to kind of go small again. So I'll play that one by ear for just a second. I'm going to step aside momentarily as we welcome Jen Higgins to 43 and 44. One of the legends on the PWBA Tour, Carolyn Doran Ballard, is joining us now along with Andrea Fredericks from Santa Ana, California, one of our local players in the local area. And on 41 and 42, Roberta Van from Downey, California. Roberta used to bowl for Cal State Fullerton, and I'm pretty sure I saw her bowl an event last year as well. Leanne Holsenberg and Amanda Fry. So that's a good quality cross there, all with California ties. Of course, Leanne originally from Roseville, California, and that is right next door to Sacramento. And she was essentially the hometown favorite last week when we were in Sacramento. Used to be the youth director at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes. A heck of a youth program at Fireside. The volunteers were spectacular. The crew was fantastic as well. Steve Cook, Jack Thomas, everyone at the counter. Brittany was just doing everything in the world, helping me out with some things late in the block. Shelby. So everyone there at Steve Cook's, again, thank you, and we appreciate it. I'm going to take a short break, folks. Will not leave you very long. I'll take a brief break and be back in the flash. So you are watching the PWBA Fountain Valley Open. First time the PWBA been back in this type of setting since 1992, when we are proud to be here. Back in a moment, watching Bowl TV on Extra Frame.
All right, folks, back with you here. Emil Williams Jr. Matt Cannizzaro in the building. You're watching the 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open from Fountain Bowl, beautiful Southern California. A little distance from LA, but not too far. Of course, now, if you're familiar with SoCal and I've yet to experience, but what everyone has told me. Depending on what time you get on the 405, going, 5 miles could take you an hour. I know it to be true because too many people wouldn't say it if it wasn't. I think I've been to Southern California only a couple of times. This might be the second or third in life. Not sure how that's happened. Last time I was in this area, though, I went to Irvine, California. Drove from San Francisco to Irvine when I was still living in the States. A high school basketball event to cover. So Irvine was pretty cool. Beautiful weather. That's pretty much what we've had here. It's about an hour away. LA, I'm speaking of now, from Fountain Valley. Nice quick double there by Roberta Van. Carolyn Dorn Ballard, you see the A, B, and C on your screen on 43 and 44. Carolyn Dorn Ballard is C. Jen Higgins is A. And Amanda Fredericks is B. This is CDB now. And a 4-pin. I'll tell you one common item I did see during practice yesterday. A lot of 4-pins left. Amanda Fry asked for it to push a little bit. It did not. And she leaves a big 4. Nice shot there from Fredericks. Talked about players playing as Randy Peterson would say, the extreme outside portion of the lane. But haven't seen that many today. And it is Amanda Fredericks. Give you a good look there of what life is like outside of 5. It's pretty favorable, it looks like, if you've got, of course, the right matchup situation, right ball, and everything else. Roberta Van for 3 in a row. That's a no-doubter right there. That's what we call those. If you're just joining us, folks, there is a Live Now post on Facebook. That is where, that's what we use to interact with our viewers. So feel free to drop me a note. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're rooting for a particular bowler, perhaps you're a favorite PWBA player. And that's how we conversate. That shot there from the timeless style of Leanne Holstenberg. Husband Gary is here this week along with son Barrett. A few timeless styles as Debbie Ayers makes the 410 just off camera there. You may have seen it on lane 40. Here is Amanda Fry. That's got to get up. And the opposite situation now for the young, talented lefty. Carolyn Dorn-Ballard was back talking with Storm Representative Mike Devaney in between shots. She will go outside now as well and pack the hole just like Carolyn Dorn-Ballard would. CDB. Very nice shot there for Carolyn. Talk about timeless styles. Two Hall of Famers. Leanne and Carolyn. Rolling next to each other here. Here's Jen Higgins. Jen has made a couple of TV shows in recent years. Of course, last year she finished 4th at the PWBA Sonoma County Open. Last year was sponsored by Nationwide. This year, Cubica AMF. She also has made 2 Queens telecasts as well. Finished 4th both times. Again, here is Leanne, 3rd all time on the career titles list. Definitely would like to see Leanne win a title kind of on the relaunch tour. Yeah, there's no legacy that needs to be cemented with her. Of course, she has been, in fact, she's the only player to win the Player of the Year back-to-back 2 different occasions. Of course, Liz Johnson joined that fraternity of those who have won back-to-back Player of the Year awards with Leanne Holstenberg and another Hall of Famer, Wendy McPherson. Generally, when you're in the company of individuals like that, that probably means you know what you're doing. But would love to see her win. She has kind of transcended time, the timeless style, dominant early in her career through the late 80s and the 90s. Of course, and even certainly into the early 2000s prior to the tour. There you see Carolyn Dorn-Ballard again. Heck of a shot there. CDB trying to get to 180. Carolyn, of course, dominated that early portion of the 2000 decade. Tying that record for most professional titles in the season with 7 in 2001. She is actually tied with her good friend Wendy McPherson in the all-time list of titles, the career list with 20. She made a TV show last year, and it was at the Rochester Open. She made it through the group step ladder finals there. Very emotional time when Carolyn made it through. Dell was there, of course. She needed a mark. She struck the first shot and the 10th. She needed a good count on the second shot, but the emotion certainly had taken over at that point. She did certainly get enough count. In fact, she struck, if I'm not mistaken. But just a moment of which for her to work very hard. Of course, 2015, she realized she needed to put some more work in. She did that in the offseason and was well prepared for 2016. And it really paid off that week in Rochester. Able to get back to TV for her for the first time, of course, since 2003. Obviously a long time for everyone with no tour. But if you include that 2015 year, it was just phenomenal for obviously someone of Carolyn's stature in this game, in this sport, in this business, and in this thing we call the PWBA Tour, to make television again. It would be fantastic, and it would be awesome for Leanne to do the same thing. Carolyn to finish it out. So whatever she did and whatever she may have talked to Mike about, that may have done the job. Last four for 180 for CDB. And that'll do it for 43 and 44. 195 for Roberta Van on 41 and 42. 184 for Leanne Holstenberg. 156 for Amanda Fry. All right, coming up next on our featured pairs, again 41 and 42. We will have Robin Romeo, another Hall of Famer. Stacy Watson and Megan Kelly. And we'll also be joined by Stephanie Martins, Christy Leong, and Diana Zavialova on 43 and 44. There'll probably be a brief momentary delay as they enter the names and make sure everything is good to go in that department. I believe we are experiencing some brief difficulties in regards to our scoring. And that's just, of course, our scoring, scores. So you can see, of course, who's leading and who is not. So some brief difficulties there. Once the scores are ready for you, we'll certainly have those. Apologize for everyone. I'm sure you're obviously looking for those at this point as we keep moving along here. I believe this is, as I said, game 4. Going by pretty darn quick today, which means lunch is not too far away as well. Well, Ain Lawler, huge fan of the PWBA. Who knows, might travel over one day to watch. Ms. Lawler, let us know where you're watching from. If you are close by or in the area here at Fountain Valley, we certainly would love to have you. Until then, wherever the PWBA may be near you in your particular city, please come on by. We appreciate you watching here on Extra Frame. Sarah Broussard, good luck to all, she says. Can't wait to be competing with y'all next week here in Baton Rouge for the USBC Queens. Big thanks to Sarah watching. Lawler, we appreciate it, and is a Special Olympics athlete. Hopefully we can bring home some gold medals, and we appreciate you and your love of bowling. Please keep that up. Certainly good luck in the future. Sarah Broussard, I remember that name from my time at the Open Championships in 2012. Pretty solid bowler. Look forward to watching you compete as well. Adrian, as just mentioned, experiencing some difficulties in regards to getting the scores updated. Once they are, we'll certainly let you know here, and we'll have those for you as soon as we can. Phil said it's an early start in regards to coverage. It was 6:19 a.m. about a half hour ago. 6:49 a.m. Phil, I appreciate you because it's early. It's early. Well, I was up about that time of day as well. Feel free to share that post, folks, and of course let everyone know where you're watching. Keep the PWBA Tour on top of the mind this weekend as we are in Fountain Valley. Yvonne watching us and commenting via Twitter as well.
Yvonne, of course, from Oak Lawn, Illinois. The pattern looks a little bit more playable this week. No doubt about that one, Yvonne. The players had some what would be considered some tough patterns, no doubt about it, especially the first week. Many said that was the most demanding condition that they've bowled on. And so last week was a little bit better in comparison to the first week, but you still have to always make shots. But I would say the level of difficulty dropped a little bit last week as well. This week, again, still it's always about shot making, but the scores are already higher. You see more strikes. And then, of course, players, when you see this pins go down, you get a little bit more confident. That also means, though, that the rest of those great players also see the strikes go down and feel a little bit more confident as well. And so maybe you can get people into their comfort zones, and maybe they don't have to leave their comfort zone this week. As we see Diana Zavialova. Diana will be letter C in case the names are not entered. On 43 and 44, Stephanie Martins from Brazil is letter A, and Christy Leon. Christy bowled the entire California leg here. Christy from Daly City, California, just a neighbor of San Francisco in Northern California. She is bowling on 43. She will be letter B. On 41 and 42. Robin Romeo will be letter A. Stacy Watson, the local, she will be letter B. And Megan Kelly is letter C. Good. This is game 4, folks. If you're familiar with the tour's history, you'll know that Robin Romeo was a force to be reckoned with on tour. She spent several years, of course, traveling, obviously competing for a very long time. Has always been one of the top competitors.
Stacy Watson at their early double, 8 spare. The lefty. It's always got to be a bit, obviously a little thrill, and then kind of that nerve-wracking feeling as well as when you compete and want to compete in a PWBA event or any professional event for that matter. Good shot there from Megan Kelly, first strike for Megan here in the game, comes in the 4th frame. Just to be confident enough to be able to try your hand and see what happens. Be confident in your own game. But sometimes it's really the only way to measure yourself, right? You've got to bowl or compete in various events with different level and higher levels of competition. I went a little bit outside there for Stacy Watson. All right, big shot there for Romeo. Big double. Get some carry. Appreciate everyone watching, folks. We are on to, again, game 4. Zavialova. And she leaves a 2-pin. 2 Weber teammates. Able to cross this week. An open frame there for Watson. Martins. Well, Stephanie had a pretty good week last week. You get off to a really good start, kind of kept some momentum. At one point, she was in contention for match play. Ended up finishing 21st. 27 under. Of course, match play, we take the top 12. Pretty good week again, as I mentioned, for Stephanie Martins. Good confidence builder, I thought, for her on a pretty tough condition. Again, speaking of this week's pattern, 38 feet. With 22.44 milliliters of oil. Using the Curve conditioner, the Kegel Curve. Thanks to Bud and Kegel, of course, the official lane maintenance provider. PWBA, USBC events. I want to thank all of our sponsors. Smithfield. Pepsi, GoBowling.com, Cubica AMF, and Nationwide. DC3 crossing over here. Here's Megan Kelly looking for 3 in a row. All right, trips the 4 and the 7. A nice 3-bagger for Megan Kelly. That right lane. And the 4th frame went light.
He made the small adjustment there and tripped a 4-7. So we'll see how things will progress on the right lane, what type of adjustments Megan will make. Rare open frame there for Robin Romeo. Well, Robin mentioned her success, of course, on the PWBA Tour. But she has kind of owned the senior queens for a few years as well. It's been between her and Tish Johnson, I believe, the last few years. And Robin has been in the winner's circle. Tish trying to get to that point. Thought she was going to get there last year. Very fun event the Senior Queens was last year. It's my first time enjoying it, and that event is coming up again next week. Right after the USBC Queens. Speaking of that, of course, first major coming up. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the Raising Cane's River Center, and no messenger love for Stephanie Martins. Shot there from Samantha Shayton. She is off camera doing some great work as always. Megan Kelly now again with 3 in a row. Looking for 4. That's right early, but right where it needed to be, and that's a strike in the 7th for Megan Kelly. A 4-bagger for Megan. Mentioned Autumn, daughter of Megan and Shannon, is here. Pretty solid shot there from Watson. And now, folks, we've gotten through those difficulties I mentioned with our online scoring. You can check those out. They are now available at PWBA.com. Of course, you know where to find them, PWBA.com. Click on the click coverage and results for the Fountain Valley Open. We'll have it for you there, and along with pwba.com/live. You can check it out there. Now that we have those scores, let us update you. After 3 games, it is Clara Guerrero. She is plus 92, 220, 226, 246 for Clara. Ashley Galante. It's only a matter of time before Ashley kind of puts everything together that she needs to make a TV show, and Xavi Alaba getting a solid break there and gets them all to fall down. Again, Ashley Galante in second at plus 88. Kayla Pashina is in third at plus 67. Watched her during practice yesterday. Thought she had a pretty solid look also. Cassandra Luthold is in fourth at plus 55. Birgit Poplar is bowling this week. Birgit, a member this year on the PWBA Tour. If you recall, she was part of the USBC Queens telecast last year, 2016. Nice shot there from Christy Leong, and that's a big double for Christy.
again from Daly City. Get on the horse ball for Megan Kelly. Oh, Megan Kelly with 5 in a row. And making the move on the right lane. Back to the scores, of course, Burgett is plus 53 in 5th place. Rocio Restrepo, kind of the top player so far through 2 events, I would say, is in 6th at plus 52. Daphne Tan followed by Sherry Tan, the sisters from Singapore. Daphne is in 7th at plus 49. Sherry is in 8th at plus 40. Danielle McEwen is 9th at plus 33. And Daria Payunk and Wendy McPherson is in 10th at plus 29. Right now, your cashier's round cut would be minus 16. That will belong to Shayna Ung from Singapore. Jessica Quibido, a new member from Lafayette, Louisiana, out bowling this week. She is minus 18 in 33rd place. So again, long way to go, folks, but that is your first update as we take a look at the scores. Good shot there from Watson. A little high and leaves the 6 pin. Appreciate you tuning in. Had some good players this week. Some good players not bowling this week as well. Just watching. Katie Thornton is in attendance. She is the head coach at Savannah College of Art and Design. SCAD is the acronym. Fine showing at the program's first intercollegiate team championships appearance on the women's side there. Had some success, of course, as a player with Weber International. She is out watching some of her former teammates, Stephanie Martins, Diana Zabialova, for example. Scott Norton was in Sacramento supporting his good friend Missy Parkin. He is here as well. Saw USBC and PWBA Hall of Famer Virginia Norton also in the building as well. In the field this week, is 4-time champion Cheryl Robinson. I just got a very nice message from a great player. I feel I should keep this a secret because now I can always have this knowledge, and I can always say, hey, remember that time you told me that I sounded okay? I shouldn't even tell people who it was. But I am going to tell it, but it's good to know that Shannon Puhalski is watching. I mentioned her earlier, not in attendance because she is giving back to the sport in a different way this week by hosting one of the longest running events in Ohio. It is a great youth event at her center. She is currently watching, of course, Megan. Megan was on a 5-bagger, but the 4-pin, removed that now, but made the spare. So Megan looking at pacing 230, of course, but can get to 240 plus. Good shot from Martins. Getting back to that 4-time winner on the PWBA Tour in the 70s, Cheryl Robinson is bowling this week.
Cheryl won the 1978 AMF Grand Prix in Reno, the Rockford Classic in Rockford, Illinois, the Cavalcade of Stars in Wichita, Kansas in 1974, and her first title was the Lady Ebonite Open in Arcadia, California. So for those of you who know your PWBA history, you would be familiar with Cheryl. And again, she is in the field this week. Let's see if she will join us at some point on our featured pair. All right, Megan Kelly back on the right lane. And this time, for the first time in a while, no strike on the right lane. So a spare here, and she will be in the 230s. Robin Romeo, 10th frame, working with a 4-pin here. And she will take care of business. All right, Martins 185. Christy Leon can get to 200 on 43. She'll need all three in the 10th. Megan Kelly, textbook on the spare. Game 4 coming to a close here quickly. The way things are going, 4 o'clock. Might be about the time we'll be done with round 1, which means that that'll be the time that lunch could be had. Nice shot there from Leon. Christy gave it a really good run last week in Sacramento. She was in the catcher's round cut for a bit, and in the end, didn't have enough pins, but she bowled great. Kelly, maybe a ball change to see what's going on the fill. Very nice 233 for Megan. That's got to draw some kind of hand clap from all watching in Dayton, Ohio, and Capri Lanes. Big thanks to everyone watching from wherever you're watching from. Very good shot there from Stacey Watson. Scores may not reflect. A lot of spares there, but Stacey has thrown it pretty good here in this game. For those of you who, of course, mentioning, I talked about Cheryl Robinson. She will be on the featured pair. Looks like game 6 of round 2. So it'll be the final game before, of course, the catcher's round cut is determined. All right, Christy Leon will shoot 185, and that'll do it for 43 and 44. Another shot, second one for Watson in the big 4 for Stacey. And so she'll try to get 2 and perhaps make it. You never know. Score monitor's doing a great job here. Appreciate again all the staff and crew here at Fountain Bowl and Fountain Valley, California. Watson does take the 2. And she will take 188 for a game 4 final score. Well, there you have it, folks. Game 4 in the books. The players have moved on, of course. Coming up next here in game number 5 as we move on ahead. Game 5 will give us Gabby Mayfield on 41 and 42. She will be joined by Hall of Famer Wendy McPherson, USBC Hall of Famer, and Katie Sutphin from Mount Dora, Florida. Katie, again, another young and up-and-coming player along with Gabby Mayfield. on 43 and 44, we'll have Rocio Restrepo from Louisville, Ohio. Karen Rosbrom will join us. Karen, of course, if you recall, made a great run at the Cubica AMF PWBA Sonoma County Open. And a couple frames essentially separated her from a potential TV spot, where she eventually fell in the group step-ladder final to Shannon Puhowski. So Karen is bowling this week, and she's got a pretty good cross there with Tanya Raumimper as well. So that's a pretty good pair, two good pairs in fact, and we will have them for you. What we believe will be just a second. Of course, Fountain Bowl, if you're unfamiliar, 60 lane center. So if you recall and imagine how any large center works from a crossing perspective, sometimes you have to go a little distance to get to where you need to go. So we'll wait, and there is Katie Sutphin, as I mentioned, on the way. So the delay should be relatively brief. Mentioned Birgit Poplar in the field this week from Germany, of course, in her USBC Queens debut. And last year, not her debut, excuse me, her debut on TV. She had bowled well in the event prior to. Will we see Birgit this week on our featured pair, I should say today? It looks like we won't. But if she continues to remain in the scoreboard, we'll see her tomorrow, of course, at some point in the cashier's round. Other players in attendance this week, we mentioned Team Singapore. There's no one out of note. We've had a lot of the players, although this is the first event for a couple, one being Allie. Allie Ijams is bowling for the first time so far this season. I believe she will be with us for the remainder of the tour. It's good to see Allie as she continues her climb off the PWBA Tour ranks and getting better every day. Player, of course, she is not too far away from home as well, originally from Southern California also. First time we've seen Jackie Carbonetto this week also. Jackie getting to spend some time here bowling on tour in the weekend off. All right, we're just about ready for bowling. Now on our featured pairs, again, recapping, Game 5 will feature Gabriella Mayfield. She will be letter A, it looks like. Katie Sutphin will be letter C, and that will leave Wendy McPherson to take letter B. And on 43 and 44, Rocio Restrepo. Looks like she will be letter A and will start on 43. Good opening shot there for Sutphin. Almost leaves the 4-9, but the 4 does fall. Tanya Raumimper. Tanya working hard on an interchangeable thumb. Trying to get some tape out before she, of course, throws her first shot. Restrepo. First shot a strike, and Rocio has done that quite a few times in the first 2 weeks, and that's put X's on the board.
And again, the aforementioned Karen Rosborough. Again, game 4 brought us our first scoreboard update. We worked through some difficulties there, so we're good to go. Speaking of 4-9s, Tanya, first shot, she does leave at 4-9. Saw Jen Higgins make 2 4-9s last week in Sacramento. A little note of, or nugget of note there, if you will. Karen Rosborough trips a 4 when she opens things up. I know there's some fans watching for Karen Rosborough. She's popular. Karen from Albany, California. Mentioned Allie Ijams. She is just a pair to our right. And there it is, folks. It's not always about strikes on the PWBA Tour. You got to be able to make spares and splits. And Tanya just gave you a nice textbook view on how to make the 4-9. She also made the 7-10, but she had a little bit of help last week. Made the 7-10 with Maria Jose Rodriguez as part of the morning shows. It was Fox 40 and Gary Gelfand at that point in time during that day. That video is on Facebook and all over social media. You're able to find it there in our video section. Good shot there from Katie Sutphin. One of the cooler things about what we do here, PWBA Tours, is really, and I might say this actually a lot, but it's really about being able to see the players on a weekly basis. Good shot there from Rosborough. And she leaves a nasty 8-pin. But the opportunity to, in many cases, you kind of get to know the players, of course. You develop not only an understanding, but in many cases, good relationships with players as you move forward in life. You know, the one thing we really don't know and you never know is, you know, who you will encounter as you move forward. And, you know, so when you're able to create relationships, bowling is kind of that way in general, right? We grow up bowling. Even if you just started, you get an opportunity to compete generally, whether it's league. If you just enjoy the sport with friends, those are kind of essentially your bowling family. Your league family could be your bowling family. Your tournament bowlers could be your bowling family. And, of course, for many of these players, it's been the same. You know, throw in your high school teams, throw in your collegiate teams, and you've got a family for life. And for many, it's the same when you get to this level in the professional tour. You develop friendships. Some players get to know one another even better, and then, of course, they become roommates. And, you know, you see not only evolution on the lanes, but you see it also on tour. And so that's what it's about. So for me, of course, again, the same thing. You get to know players. You get to hear about the different stories, where they came from and how they got to this point. Those are the stories that we look to tell in various mediums throughout the season if we can. For example, Tanya Rauh-Mimper, of course, went to Wichita State. She is from Indonesia. She still lives in Indonesia. She will return to Indonesia. I believe we talked, and she said after the Players' Championship at this point. It is it's a big year internationally across the world. A lot of events, World Games coming up. If you're near kind of Southeast Asia, the Southeast Asian Games are upcoming, and that is a major event. Team Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, all involved, for example. Those are, of course, players that we've gotten to know and get familiar with here on the PWBA Tour. So she will be returning in June, late June. Essentially will miss kind of the back half of the tour. It does turn out, as we talked, if she does make a show, and she does happen to win a title, of course, and even if she doesn't win, potentially on her finishes of the rest of the season or prior to her leaving the tour, essentially to return home, there is a possibility that she could qualify for the Smithfield PWBA Tour Championship. And if she does, she certainly said that she had the wrong dates. She thought the Tour Championship was a little earlier than it was. But the Tour Championship is actually September 3rd through the 6th. Will be held at Richmond International Raceway as part of NASCAR week there. She would be able to return home, or return to the United States and compete if she has that opportunity. So that's the good news. Tanya is such a fun person to be around. She great roommate with Danielle McEwen. But that's a good example of a conversation that you may not have when you don't see players weekly on a weekly basis. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity. Last time Karen Rossman was up on 44, she stoned an 8-pin. She has sandwich strikes in between. Now looking for a double. Rossman went to Fresno State. Those watching from Fresno, California, this is certainly someone you can root for if you don't know who she is. She went to Fresno State, was a first-team All-American. I mentioned she made some noise, finishing tied for 5th in Sonoma in our week 1 stop from a little town called Albany, California, right next to El Cerrito, not too far away from Berkeley in Northern California. There's Wendy McPherson on 42 with the big 4, of course. Wendy. We talked about accolades of players. We talked about CDB. We talked about Leanne, Cheryl Robinson, but Wendy McPherson was the bowler of the decade in the 90s of the decade. She won a lot, dominated the 90s in Wendy McPherson. PWBA vault of her this year. It's cool to kind of go back and look at some of those. Shows from the past and kind of rekindle those in a way that those who obviously know their PWBA history were around during those particular times, those who are new to the tour, newer players, younger players, to kind of bridge that gap and help that happen. That's what PWBA Vault did. We ran those, of course, on Thursdays in a Throwback Thursday type of way. But some of those we've added, of course, and we will play them for you when we can, when the time is right. We've had some early delays and intermissions, but that's usually when I try to drop them in so you won't get, or go too long, I should say, without bowling. All right, here's your standings of after 4 games. Brought to you by no one at the moment. You can certainly choose a player. How about Nationwide? Nationwide is scheduled to be here this weekend. Be on site, do some on-site activation, of course. Nationwide is on your side. Ashley Galante, plus 93 for the Palm Harbor, Florida native.
So Ashley leading the way. Again, plus 93. Right on her heels is Cassandra Luthold in second at plus 92. Clara Guerrero in third at plus 78. Daphne Tan is in fourth at plus 71. Daria Payo, beg your pardon, is in fifth at plus 70. Kayla Pashina is in sixth at plus 60. Sherry Tan is in seventh at plus 57. In eighth is Birgit Poplar at plus 55. Wendy McPherson is in ninth, plus 51. And Rocio Restrepo is in 10th at plus 49. Let's mosey on down to 32nd, and that's actually a tie for 31st. It's Caitlin Mayall from Oxnard, California, and Jasril Tan. They are tied for 31st at minus 25. Karen Rosbrom is 28th at minus 11. She's on this pair. Katie Sutphin is just outside the number currently with Christy Asher. They're tied for 33rd at minus 27. There is Restrepo giving us a little Rocio. Ro is really, she doesn't show all of the emotion at all at one time. I think as she has matured on the lanes, I think she certainly understands when to kind of let it go and when to be cool. We saw a little bit of that, actually a lot of it last week. Things didn't go her way. Thought she threw a good shot. Didn't carry, she just kind of claps. She gives a little slow clap, almost like a golf clap, but softly to herself, and moves on with the next shot. And she's just been rolling along here. Good shot there from Rosbrom as she wraps the 10. Let's see where Tanya is in the standings. Tanya is 23rd at plus 9. Also on the pair is Gabriella Mayfield in 81st. Gabby struggling a little bit here, as you can see. Looks like something off, either just maybe physically. Not getting away from her cleanly, as Gabby normally does. And Wendy McPherson is in 9th at plus 51. So you see Wendy. We talked about Leanne and Carolyn. How about, wouldn't it be cool to see Wendy McPherson back on TV in 2017? Good spare there from Mayfield. You really, that would be kind of the ultimate opportunity to bridge the gap. And perhaps the first front eight of the year. Looks like it belongs to Samantha Shaden, who struck a lot yesterday in practice. She's several pairs away, so going down to get the bird's eye view for us is Matt Cannizzaro. All right, a shot there from Mayfield. Samantha Shaden is stepping up momentarily in the 9th frame, so we'll keep you posted. Spare there for McPherson. Restrepo up for looking for a 3-bagger. Momentarily in the 8th frame, Raul Mimper. As you see her kind of visualizing. We're relaxing the arm swing, getting a few practice swings before she begins her pre-shot routine, or excuse me, that's part of it, more than likely. I see Megan Kelly still down there striking. It's late in that game, late in game 5 as well. So Samantha Shade, all eyes on her at the moment, and she delivers. Front 9 for Samantha Shade. I predicted, folks, that we would see our first 300 game of the year this week, and got our real first opportunity to make that come true. Raul Midper. Another wrap 10 on the right lane for Rosbrom. You know, this week, folks, of course, when the condition is playable for everyone, essentially, then you have to take into consideration carry. And carry will probably be a big factor this week. Who can carry best? Getting to the pocket doesn't seem to be a challenge as it was the first couple weeks. Now the pocket is kind of there for you, and now the small adjustments, manipulative things with the hand to get the ball to go through the pins the right way. Would love to give you some extra coverage of Samantha Shaden's 10th frame, folks, but she's just a little too far away. But we do have our folks on the scene. That one looked pretty good. Got some claps, 10 in a row now for Samantha Shaden. All right, Mayfield opened in the 8th frame. Still can get to 187, though. That will be a win for her this game. A shot there for Tanya. All right, Shaden is up on the update there. Roscom again, this time flat 10. 11th shot, that one looks a little right. From Sam, good run. Didn't see the count, but maybe a 7 count. Nonetheless, front 10. That's the closest anyone has gotten to 300. We did have a front 7 last week. Liz Johnson had the front 7. Week 1, I believe Danielle McEwen had the front 5 or 6 of the big 4 and then went off the sheet. Perhaps not the big 4, but some form of split as Rocio Restrepo can't get them all to fall. Gabby Mayfield from Lake Isabella, California. Congratulations to Gabby as well. We saw or follow her on social media, but she is now the proud owner of a local bowling center in her hometown. so that is just, I talk about making moves at a young age, 23. Name of the bowling center is Mount Mesa Lanes. In Lake Isabella, California. I believe she spent a lot of time there, of course, as a youth player. It's in her hometown. And it's a good way for, obviously, Gabby to really not only give back, but what sounded like to be able to accomplish a goal. It was a dream of hers to be able to do it at a very young age. So if you look forward in that regard, she's got lots of years left ahead, hopefully in life and her professional career. So congrats to Gabby. All right, Restrepo, 224. McPherson. Well, leaves a 10-pin. Lake Isabella about 4 hours away from where we are currently. It's near Bakersfield. Rosbrom out of trouble there in the 10th. 4-7, she leaves. Spare, and she will be in the 2-0s after opening in the 9th. And Tanya, spare in the 10th. 1 ball remaining. And just like that, game 5 is about to come to an end. Sandra Gongora to our right. She got the first strike in the 10th. The double would put her, looks like, in the 230s. And that one is through the nose. All right, spare for Rosbrom. Coming up next on our featured pairs in Game 6, Kayla Bandy has been waiting for a while, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Kayla Bandy will join us on the featured pairs. I could be wrong. But on 41 and 42, we will have Samantha Shaden, Karen Russell, and no, excuse me. That's round 2. We want round 1. Kayla Bandy, Jazriel Tan, and Nicole Rayon on 41 and 42. Adriana Mazik, Danielle McEwen, and Angie Ramirez Perea will join us on 43 and 44. Well, that's who's coming up. High flush there for McPherson. 207 for Rostrum. That's 43 and 44. Ends their play 188 for Rao Mimper. Jody Wessner. Jody on 39 and 40 to the left of Katie Sutphin, who will appear in your screen momentarily. And she trips a 4. Big double there for Katie. So Jody Wessner, again, she is on 40, finishing up her 10th frame. I will read off her frames, frame by frame. 8 spare, double, gutter spare, strike spare, 4-bagger. Oh, and an 8-pin. Wow. Talk about a game. It's going to result in a 229 for Jody. Again, 8 spare double, gutter spare. Strike, didn't see what she left in the 6th. 9 spare, then a 4-backer. First shot in the 10th was good. And then an 8-pin on the second shot. All for 229. The things we do for bowling. Nonetheless, a good game for Jody. She was minus 50 prior to game number 5. And a 4-pin for McPherson. And she will shoot 1-7-0. So Wendy will give 30 back. She'll drop to plus 21 and more than likely will drop a few places in the standings as well. Samantha Shaden, and she shot 280 plus. She was minus 64. Also, she will add a nice little hefty chunk of change to her total. Of course, she'll be in not only in the plus number, but she probably will be inside the cut number as well at this point of the event. Again, round 1, game 5 just completed. We are on to game 6 and the end, or nearing the end of round number 1. Emil Williams Jr. here with you. Thank you for tuning in, along with Matthew Cannizzaro, leaving his post in Las Vegas at the USBC Open Championships just to share the desk with his pal Emil. We thank Matt for coming out. Matt, of course, as you well know, and aforementioned the USBC Open Championships. That's where most people know him from. He is a Florida boy. Loves Florida in general, the Gators, potentially. So for those of you who dislike Florida, you will not get along with Matthew. Jason Thomas, part of our staff who is not here this week. He is in Kansas City, Kansas at the Go Bowling 400, along with our friend and colleague Brant Houghton. Those two doing some work at the race. Saw a picture there. I know Chris Barnes is there. Looks like he brought Ryan and Troy with him, his 2 sons. So be sure to check the race out if you haven't. Big thanks to GoBowling.com for their sponsorship of the PWBA Tour. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will be driving the Go Bowling car. So if you're a fan of NASCAR, be sure to keep an eye on Ricky. Ricky will be driving the old number 17. So again, look out for that. And if I'm not mistaken, Ricky coming off a fantastic race down at Talladega. So it should be a good week for Go Bowling and the Go Bowling 400. Game 6 now underway. Danielle McEwen. Andrew Ramirez Perea and Adriana Mazik in 43 and 44. Here is Adriana. Good shot. Adriana comes out firing here in game number 6. Again, playing an area of the lane that is certainly available and playable this week. Mentioned Samantha Shaden's near 300. She had the front 10. That is just posted onto the PWBA Facebook page. You can see the highlights of that game and her 10th frame. Again, on the PWBA Facebook page. Big thanks to Matt and Rita Morin for grabbing some highlights of that. Of course, while you're there, be sure to like the page. If you have not shared what you're watching, our Live Now poll still awesome and valid. In fact, I haven't checked it in a while. Let's see if anyone else has left us some comments. I am monitoring right now. We'll have a scoreboard update for you as well. It's the highest game of the year so far. Again, on tour. Yeah, we had a couple tough conditions, but it's okay. Sam left the 245. Again, shot 286. Sonia saw your request there, and someone else told me that, so did make an adjustment. Hopefully that is a little bit better on the ears. In regards to the ABC, there was a brief issue in regards to scoring early, and so when they flip over, the names sometimes do not follow. They have to manually enter them. And that's why I'm here to tell you who players are. And so, again, letter A on 41 is Jazriel Tan. Or B, excuse me. B is Jazriel Tan. Letter A is Kayla Bandy. And C is Nicole Rayon. And you can see at least first names over on 43 and 44. Hello to Linda Walbaum. Sorry I missed your comment, Linda. Linda bowled very well that last week. In fact, made a great charge to get some bonus bowling on Saturday, making the cashers round. Linda and the Walbaum family. They are dedicated watchers. Obviously, especially when Linda is bowling. Another good shot there from Adriana. Mark Davidson alerted Dina Buxton, let her know she's famous. Of course, we did use a picture of Dina this morning. Gillian Tracy, hello from Sacramento. Good luck to all. We appreciate everyone again tuning in. Thanks for your questions and comments, and again letting us know if anything is wrong. Appreciate that. Coming up on hour number 3 of our live coverage here. Nicole Rayon, the lefty. Nice shot in the 4th frame as she wraps the 7-pin. McEwen
And Danielle leaves a 3-6-10. Talked to Danielle a little bit after the group stepladder finals last week, of course, after making the show at the Storm Sacramento Open. And for her, she mentioned, I forgot the exact number of time that she mentioned, but it had been a few months for her, and she's just been trying to get out of her own way in a sense mentally, trying to refocus and making, of course, making the show and talking to many of her reps from Storm and Roto, and you know, kind of maneuvering and getting through some things. And she said things started to click earlier. So, of course, Danielle, one of the top players in the world, got a break there as her spare ball began to go left immediately. But she'll take the spare in the third frame. Finished second at the Kubica AMF World Cup this past season in 2016. Lost to Jenny Wegner from Sweden, who is a PWBA Tour member, and I imagine Jenny and along with Sandra Andersson from Sweden as well. Sandra, who was the top seed last year at the Queen's telecast. We'll see Jenny at the Queen's like we normally do. Adriana, big time double. Very strong and powerful shot there. Kewen won the Wichita Open last year, and of course the Smithfield Tour Championship in 2015. Already off to a good start. Did ask her, will her lucky charm be there? Her mom, Susan. Good things happen when she's in attendance and Danielle's on TV. Here's Angie Ramirez Perea. Angie, of course, from Colombia, living in Austin, Texas. It's got a push ball, and she is out of trouble. Angie trying to make her presence known here on the PWBA Tour as well. Last year, she made the opening show on Las Vegas Open, or excuse me, one of the opening shows, the Storm Sacramento Open. Three lefties were the Sacramento show. Shannon Pluhowski finishing second. Sherry Tan, who was left-handed, won from Singapore. I believe the lone righty was, of course, the Rookie of the Year, New Wei Finn. Wei is here as well this week. Hey, Ron, missed you there. Missed your comment earlier. I apologize. We're probably about 10:50 in the UK now. Appreciate the compliment, of course. Again, if you're just joining us, there were some brief scoring issues. Nothing significant, but it did affect the naming essentials to the scoring system. So there you may see the A, B, and C like you allow here for 41 and 42. Letter B right now, Jazreel Tan from Singapore. In fact, Jazreel was the first player from Singapore to win on the PWBA Tour. It happened in 2015 when she won the Lubbock Sports Open. Nice shot there from Danielle. Pretty awesome shot. Right there, made an immediate move, made a move right. And if you notice, folks, and many of you obviously know this, and especially within our sport, but the good players do not hesitate to make a move. You know, you've got to be able to commit to the move and kind of live with the results. So if you committed to it, then you got to see it through. You can't dip the toe in the water at this level. Another good shot there from Adriana. All right, McEwen. And back-to-back shots again, making the move out to the gutter. Goes striking now 10 pin. Almost left the 7-10, no less, but nothing doing essentially, and no harm at the moment. All right, Ramirez, after 8 spare, 7 spare, makes a ball change. And 7 now on lane 43. 3-5-6 for the lefties. Kayla Bandy, the Maryland Eastern Shore coach. I was late to the party, but I was perusing Twitter. And for those of you who are on Twitter, be sure to follow us at PWBA Tour. You can also follow me at EWJR, of course. Stands for Emil Williams Jr. Someone once told me it's pretty cool that you can make a name or a Twitter handle as an acronym for your name, and I didn't really think about it. I said, wow, that is pretty cool. I don't know many people that can do that. How about that? Nonetheless, I was perusing Twitter and was looking at some NCAA clips not too long ago. Of course, NCAA Women's Bowling Championship and the ITCs were not too I guess at this point they were about 3 weeks almost to a month ago. But they have a selection show. For their Women's Bowling Championship. Very similar to what you would see from the NCAA tournament, men's basketball, et cetera, et cetera. And Maryland Eastern Shore, of course, Kayla Bandy is the head coach. Clip on Twitter from Maryland Eastern Shore and the Hawk Bowling at their Twitter account. They caught the moment when they were, what a shot that was from McEwen. They caught the moment when they were selected. It was everything we normally see on TV, but in a different sport. And it was awesome to see just the emotion and the expression and the tears and everything from that moment. It was pretty cool. But Kayla has done a great job at taking over a program that has been one of the best at both the NCAA level, of course, and USBC collegiate. Before the McKendree women won both the NCAA and ITC titles again a few weeks ago. Maryland Eastern Shore, the women's program, was the only team and the only program that could say that. They won the NCAA and ITC title in 2011. And they've got a long list of alumni as well. One of them is right here, Angie Ramirez Perea. All right, throwing the original ball on 44. Didn't see, definitely threw something different on 43 in our last frame. Another good shot there for Adriana. I think Adriana has got a pretty good look, obviously, to the pocket. I think Danielle may have taken a look at that and said, hey, that might be something I can replicate. Jazriel Tan, Wichita State. Talking about lists of alums. That list is pretty long as well. So is Nebraska. 1 point, maybe Fairleigh Dickinson. That is where Danielle McEwen won a title. Vanderbilt. The power of the NCAA level. Kayla Bandy. It's a 3-6-10. Kayla always positive. No matter what, just always positive. Tries to keep it simple. Talked about our game a little bit last week. Our game is very simple. So is Verity Crawley's game. Verity, I believe we'll see Verity from now until the end of the season. Another good shot there from McEwen. Verity, another Weber product. She is from England. UK, which would make Ron Johnson pretty excited to know that England will be represented here on tour by Verity Crawley. Maria Jose Rodriguez with 3 in a row off camera. All right, here is Angie Ramirez one more time on 43. Maybe the second ball on this lane. It might be 3 total. Trying to figure out this left lane. And Bandy makes the spare. Again, game 6 coming to an end, folks. We'll update you in the round 1 leader during the break. Before that, however, let's take a look at who is leading after 5 games, and it is Clara Guerrero. Clara, of course, longtime member of Team Colombia from Pflugerville, Texas, now living there, of course, and has been for a while at plus 144. Big 266 game and game 5. Clara been pretty consistent, 220, 226, 246, 186, 266. 4 of her 5 games ending in 6. Kind of useless trivia right there. Plus 128 for Cassandra Luthold. She has kind of held on to that second spot for a while. Rocio Restrepo is plus 73. Ashley Galante is 4th at plus 65. Brittany Smith in 5th at plus 54. One of the players in contention for Rookie of the Year. Daphne Tan is in 6th at plus 53. Missy Parkin, local flavor, of course, in 7th at plus 46. Kelly Kulik is 8th at plus 45. Robin Renslow is in 9th. She is, they're tied for 9th, I beg your pardon. Tied with Daria Payonk at plus 44. Sherry Tan in 11th at plus 42. Angie Ramirez Perea and Brandy Calderon tied at 12th at plus 35. McEwen didn't like it, knew it when she let it go, and leaves a 6 pin and crossing over. Get Poplar in 14th at plus 32. Alicia Current is in 15th at plus 31. Roberta Van in 16th at plus 30. 17th is Liz Johnson at plus 26. Kayla Pashina in 18th at plus 24. Let's roll on down to that 32nd number. It is Christy Asher, currently in 32nd at minus 12. Again, minus 12. So should have a pretty good round 2. Got some new names into our cashers around here, which is always good. One of them is Adriana Mazik. She is 28th currently from Canoga Park, California at minus 8. A double here would give her 2-0. She has been solid
Lone Open coming back in the second frame. Just made a big split in the ninth. Looks pretty good. That's 10 back. Making it look easy. There's Adriana. And the big 4 for Angie in the ninth. She gets 2. That's got to push. It's inside. She knew when she let it go there. So be in the 190s in this game. All done here on 41 and 42. Looks like everyone is just about done and will get done at about the same time. So it started off as a tough game here for Danielle. Made a move, committed to it. The best shot on the left lane for Angie, and she wraps the 7th pin. Finally got the ball she was looking for. Certainly put it in the right area for her, and wraps a 7. And a big 4 for Maria off camera in the 10th frame. .182 for Danielle McEwen to finish things out. Danielle was a -3, tied for 25th with her roommate Tanya Raumimper. Angie, again, +35, tied for 12th at the moment. Well, folks, there will be no bowling going on around us. After Angie, Cassandra Luthold is in the 10th frame, already thrown the first strike in the 10th. Looking for one more. Trying to get into the 240s. A strike will do that for her. You'll see the ball roll down the lane on the left side on 39. And Luthold now in the 240s. One more strike and she'll be at 248. One more shot remains for Angie Ramirez. So a bit of an early day, if you will. And the players will have a bit of a longer break. Flat 10 there. Angie kind of gives the old face on that one. 194 for Angie.
Luthold off camera. Very nice game of 248. And folks, that will do it for us here on Extra Frame here in round number 1. Again, don't forget, we will begin things again with round 2 of qualifying at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Oh, excuse me, I beg your pardon. 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific. 9 Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We appreciate you tuning in. We will have, of course, scores updated for you once this round is completely over. And looks like we've got about 2 to 3 balls left to go here. So again, be watching PWBA.com, your Facebook, or excuse me, our social media pages for the updates after round number 1. So for Matt Cannizzaro, Rita Morin, our entire PWBA staff, and everyone here at Fountain Bowl, my name is Emil Williams Jr. We say so long until a few hours from now, folks. Enjoy the time that we have in between. I'm going to go and find the best thing to eat at the moment, and then I look forward to seeing you and talking to you soon in just a few hours. Again, it's 6 p.m. local. That is Pacific time here in California. 9 p.m. Eastern. Round 2 will get underway. Fresh oil for these players, of course, the 38-foot pattern. So we look forward to seeing round 2, and will some new names continue to move on up the standings into not only the top 32, but perhaps match play this weekend. All right, we'll talk to you soon, folks. You're watching the 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open. This is Bowl TV on Extra Frame.